so much, everyone, for staying with us. So we saw some decision from the National Judicial Council, which is the body that regulates and does discipline for the judiciary. So the bar 2 judges from elevation to the Court of Appeal over breaches of judicial process. The sanctioned judges are Justice Enang of the Federal High Court and Justice Godwin Perkins Okolosi of the Delta State High Court. The NJC took the decisions on other ones, including announcing new judicial appointments and launching new probe of some judges at his 105th meeting held on the 15th and 16th of this month. The meeting was presided by the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Chairman of the Council, Justice Ariwola. I'm being joined by a very senior lawyer and a former member of the Senate, Senator Ita Enang. He joins us live here in our studio. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
I mean, these are judges that we hear their names in several cases, and NJC coming down on them, suspending their elevation is some kind of petition. They struck out some petition against some other judges where we saw petitions. But when we see this kind of petitions against judges, it means one thing, that people are worried, either the bar or the society.
Yeah, let me commend the National Judicial Council not because they have taken these decisions, but because they sat and gave due hearing to the petitions that were filed, and also heard their lordships against whom petitions were filed. And in law, there is one thing we say, that even God in all his wisdom did not pass judgment on Adam before he had asked him, before he had heard him. And it shows that the National Judicial Council is up, is active, and it gives the public the confidence that they can still approach the judiciary and have confidence. And if there is any officer of the judiciary that does anything which is found untoward, that the National Judicial Council and other institutions are there to deliver. And of course, one of the things that I found very interesting again is from the statement of Soyoji, the spokesperson of the NJC, that that some of the decisions of the petitions were dismissed because the issues involved in them were matters which could be resolved on appeal. That means it's a question of interpretation of the law. So if you go to court and you are not satisfied with the judgment you've obtained one way or the other, it is not to petition the judge. It is to seek the appellate and intervention.
Yeah, but when we see this kind of decision from the NJC, and you hear a lot of people saying they are fast losing their trust in the judiciary, what kind of danger does this portend for our society?
I believe that people are not losing their trust. It is if this kind of things happen and the body that is in charge of it is not taking any action, Now, the action that has been taken in respect of these their lordship, the 2 judges of the Federal High Court, the ultimate aim of any lawyer is elevation. In your practice, you want to be a senior advocate of Nigeria. In your career in the judiciary on the bench, you want to get to the Supreme Court. And so it is not that you want, or a lot of them want to have good rise up to the position of being either the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court or Chief Judge of the FCT or Chief Judge of the other state or to the Court of Appeal and ultimately to the Supreme Court. So if anything happens that you are barred from aspiring for a year or 2, and when the time comes for you to also seek again, there may be some other person from your block, from your zone, or from your state who has a higher score than you, and then the person may be elevated before you. So it makes the judges, it makes their lordships a lot more careful and circumspect in every aspect of their actions. Their relationship with the, the way they consider the files and the issues, the legal issues raised in each case, and the way they conduct the proceedings in court, so as to give confidence to both parties.
But Senator, I mean, you've spent quite a number of time, I imagine almost about 30 years or more in the bar, and you understand the nuances, the sociological effects of the work of the judges. Not so much about whether the society or the people that are involved feel comfortable or are happy about the judgment of court, but whether or not the judges are doing what is right by the law and by the dictates of their calling. So the question is, we saw a lot of tension after the 2023 elections. There are a lot of people wondering what exactly are and it's not about the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court judgment alone. It's also about all of the judgments that we've seen at the different layers, and those who are calling to question the kind of court orders, the injunctions, the counter injunctions, the colluding or the colliding judgments that are interfacing and interfering in each other, which makes a whole lot of things so confusing. And average Nigeria will be wondering, what exactly is going on? Sometimes people believe that maybe there are underhandlings in some of these things.
What we need to do, what I urge the public to do, is that you should have confidence in the judiciary. And sometimes when you go to court, you have counsel, and sometimes the issues are not presented properly by your lawyer. And sometimes the issues are properly defended by the other side. And the judge will always say, from the evidence before me, from the facts before me, from the processes before me, and this is what you have. Okay. There are situations where, for instance, you have constitutional interpretation of if you defect from your political party, you lose your seat. Now, and there is a defection. And there is a question of, can these people who have defected from their own political parties still be said to be members of the legislative house from which they have defected from? Now, the question will then be before the law. Have you proved or laid before the court that these persons have defected in actual fact? If the people say they have not defected, and there are evidence to the contrary, or they say, I have defected, I'm no more a party to that, and then you take them to court and you seek injunction that having defected, they should not lose their seat. It depends on all the issues that are presented and all the circumstances. Was there a sitting? Was there a proper inauguration of that legislature? Was there the maze? Was there a lot of situations? Is there the vote and proceedings from which it could be deduced in that vote and proceedings that they have personally defected? So the court will look at all this before it comes to a decision that they have defected and that they should accordingly lose their seat. Now, if that happens, and if the contrary is the case, the public will say, this is what was decided in the other case. Why is it different this way? So these are questions that has to do with presentations.
I look at there are appointments that are being made, and there are those who have questioned those appointments. Relatives of politicians, relatives of senior judges who are now being appointed, and the likes of Professor Odinkalu will say appointment to the bench these days have now come as a form of there's some words that he used I don't want to use. It's now become hereditary, or and I don't think there is anything wrong if you have family members who are equally qualified. But when the people are having a feeling that there are nepotistic tendencies in the appointment of judges, it causes those appointments to question. And it brings one thing that is fundamental, the independence of the appointment of these judges. How can we fix this?
The independence of the...
in the appointment of judges.
Well, there is the process for the appointment of judges. And it starts sometime with the recommendations by the appropriate judicial bodies, either the governors, after a lot of filtering, and also from the states, it will come by way of nominations from the judges and from the justices. It will come from a lot of recommendations and so on. And all those processes will lead to the final. I want to say that there are issues of concern, but I also want to say that the fact that you are a relative of a judicial officer of high standing, and you have your record of number of cases, your record of the quality of your judgment, the record of the number of cases from your court that has been tested on appeal and they have found to stand the test of the law. The number of cases that and your comportment. Let me not use the word comportment. Your I don't want to use it.
Professionalism.
Yes, in everything. Now that does not disqualify you. And of course, again, if you are a relative, a husband, a wife, a son, or an in-law of a politically exposed person, that should not, on its own, prevent you from having your career rise to the peak.
But there are those who believe that some of these tendencies are politically motivated tendencies.
There could be a belief.
Over merit.
No, I wouldn't think over merit. There could be a belief. And like Justice, His Lordship, Lord Denning will say, the man on the Clapham bus. What will he think? In the man on the ordinary man on the street, what will he think? Does he think it has been right? That can be. But the fact of that relationship on his own should not disqualify a person from getting to the height of his profession. Now, get this. His Lordship, Justice Mary Odili, retired Justice of the Supreme Court, is the wife of the former governor of Rivers State. She was the first lady of that state. And she, in my opinion, had kept a lot of distance between the political exposure of the husband after finishing her tenure as First Lady. And even as First Lady, she was, in a way, insulated. And she kept her rise to the Court of Appeal and merited her appointment elevation to the Supreme Court. Now, the wife of the former head of state, Abubakar, was a justice of the High Court. Then he rose to the Court of Appeal, and the former head of state of Nigeria, and I think she's still at the bench. Now, the fact that the husband was president of the country did not prevent her from following her career path. The greatest of what every family, every person should do is the fact that you are married to a politically exposed person should not endanger your own career. The politically exposed person may have her danger, her political tenure may cut short, and tenure always defined. And of course, the fact that when it's over, it shouldn't terminate that of the husband or the wife.
Let's switch the conversation now to make a little assessment of President Bola Tinubu's 1 year in office. Professor Usman said, look, it's been a very poor outing for the president in the last 1 year from his own assessment. How would you assess? You are an insider in the APC also, so you understand what is going on. But it does look like there's a lot of disaffection. There's a lot of feeling that the government has not done way up to the expectation of what they promised at the campaigns.
I want us to do the assessment based on the challenges that were there. First, there were issues of subsidy before the last administration. And in the last administration, subsidy was budgeted for only up to June because the problems we have today were expected and anticipated by the outgone government. But they said, look, if we take some of these things head on, there may be challenge of situations which are capable of affecting perhaps the democratic process or the stability that may, one way or the other, challenge the nation. So the budget, there was no budget for subsidy on petroleum product. And when the president came, he considered that if I don't have budget for a petroleum product subsidy for beyond May or June, how do I manage it at the beginning? And so he considered it appropriate to remove the subsidy. And removing the subsidy had the question of challenge on the currency, challenge on the availability of petroleum product. And it wasn't done without plan. It was done with plan of the compressed natural gas being a substitute for it. It was done with the plan of getting the refineries working. It was done with the plan that the Dangote refinery was commissioned and was capable of producing
Senator,
this thing.
Yeah, Senator, to wrap this up, just in about 30 seconds or thereabout, the fact remains that at the end of the day, all of the plan of government and the promises made is to better the lives of the citizen. But you look at all of the indices, they're in the negative. How do you explain that to the average citizen, that the government is really working for them? Just in 30 seconds, if you may.
I don't think they are in the negative. I don't think they are in the negative. It is only that it has affected the currency, it has affected the purchasing power, but a few of this has led to more domestic production of food. It has led to ban on importation of food, and there is capacity to produce food within. And a lot of you'll see a lot of stability in the labor sector, the productivity. You'll see the questions on education. You'll see the reversal in the amount of dollar going out for the payment of education, because a lot has been done to make sure Nigerians have confidence in the national education system, that they now invest here in education. You'll see a lot that is happening in industrialization. You'll see a lot that is happening in several other sectors. You know, everything takes plan, and we saw the problem, and we planned how to. At the stage of trying to make the plans mature, there will be pain. What Nigerians are having now is, for instance, what we call the pain of the needle of injection. But the effect of the cure that the injection will bring will be long-lasting.
Senator,
so I urge Nigerians to bear with the pain, which are getting over, and then the government is landing well, and the effect of their plan is beginning to show in the petroleum sector, is beginning to show in the value of the currency, or there's a little bit up and down. It's also beginning to show in a lot of other sections, and it simply takes a little bit of more patience. But we appreciate the challenge of the president and the federal government. But let Nigerians not forget that the federal government receives only 52% of the national revenue, and the other 48% is received by the state government, the state governors, the state and the local governments. And so they also should show what they do, because it is the collectivity of what the state governments do and the local governments do that gives effect to performance of the government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Senator Enang, a very senior lawyer and a former senator, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
But that's our program tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.